want to tell you a story. It's a really, really nice, cool story. One of my favorites, actually.
Hey, what are you doing today?
Well, I was about to tell a story to all the people that are here for the ONEG.
Oh, so you're having an ONEG.
Yeah.
Wow. There's a lot of people here. Who are all these people?
This is the lower school. These are all lower school students, and they're here for the ONEG that you just interrupted.
You do this every Friday?
Yep.
That's awesome.
It is.
Amazing. What were you planning on doing today with them?
So I was just about to begin telling them this really, really cool story. It kind of connects to Purim, but I didn't start yet.
Ah, you were going to tell them a story.
Yeah.
Oh. Is it a Purim type story? I want to guess what story it is. Is it the story about the... Shh, I didn't tell you. Is it the story about the king and the cobbler? That story?
Yes, I was about to tell them the story of the king and the cobbler before you rudely interrupted all these beautiful children who are sitting here waiting to hear a story.
Can I, that's one of my favorite stories. Can I tell the story?
Fine, you tell the story.
Awesome, thank you. You know what, before we start, one more thing. I don't know if you can hear me.
They can hear you.
Could you hand me a mic?
You don't need it, they can hear you just fine, but here you go, fine.
Oh. Hey guys, can you hear me now? Awesome.
I can hear you before.
Yeah, no? Hey, you can hear me without it?
Yes.
One second. I have one more thing here. Okay, here we go. All right, here's a mic stand. So I'm going to tell you the story.
You don't have to lean into the microphone, they can hear you just fine.
I don't need to lean into the mic? Okay,
No.
sorry. Hey, I love microphone.
Me
I'm
too.
going to tell you the story. You can just go sit down. I'll pick it up from here.
Fine, you
Yeah,
do it.
no problem. I'm going to tell you the story. The story happened many years ago, and it's one of my favorite stories, especially Purim time, because it shows us how much Hashem really loves us, that if we believe in Him, we have faith and we trust in Hashem, that He always takes care of us. This story happened many years ago with the king. This king, he was a good king, but he was always very worried about things. During the daytime, he worried about his money, he worried about his servants, he worried about his country, and he worried about his subjects. And I don't mean math and science, I mean the people who served him. He was very concerned about what they thought, how people would think about him. At night when he went to sleep, he was worried that he wouldn't sleep. And then when he was finally about to fall asleep, he'd worry about what should he worry about tomorrow. And of course, when he woke up, if he had any sleep, he would just continue worrying. One day he was looking out of his window, very worried, and he was staring at the marketplace below. And he noticed there was a cobbler. A cobbler is someone who fixes his shoes and works with their hands. He noticed there was a cobbler who was wearing tattered, torn clothing, and he looked really poor. But he was smiling. He seemed really happy. And the king began to worry about what the cobbler might be worrying about, and why he didn't seem to be worried. What was making this cobbler so happy? So one day the king decided, I need to figure out what's up with this cobbler. And he decided that he would disguise himself, he would dress in beggar's clothing, and he would go out to the marketplace where nobody would recognize him. And there he could sneak up and figure out what this cobbler was so happy about. That particular day, he dressed in clothing, he was incognito, so nobody recognized him. And he went to the marketplace, and he saw the cobbler close up his shop, and with his tattered clothing, went to go buy a loaf of bread. And very happily walked home whistling, went to his rundown old little shed that he lived in, to eat his bread. The king watched through the window for a moment, and saw how happy this cobbler was. He sat on notes, and he took a bite of bread. So the king, who was dressed up now as a poor man, decided that this was an opportunity for him to figure out what was going on. So he walked up to the door and knocked on the door, and he said to the poor cobbler, "Excuse me, sonny boy, do you think you could spare some bread for an old beggar?" And the cobbler said, "Why, of course I could. I would love to have you. Come join me for dinner." And the poor-dressed king came in and sat down, and the two of them ate together for a couple minutes. And the king said, "Why, thank you so much. It's so good to have a meal." And then the king asked him why he was so happy. What made him feel so content and not worried? And the cobbler said, well, you know, today I fixed enough pairs of shoes that I was able to afford to buy a whole loaf of bread for dinner. And not only can I eat, but I can even share some of my bread with you. And the king said, wow, that's fascinating. What's going to happen if you don't fix enough pairs of shoes? And the beggar said, you know, I believe in my Hashem, and he'll always take care of me, even if I don't fix enough pairs of shoes. I'll figure out how. It will all be fine. With that, the beggar king left and went back to his palace. And the next morning, when the cobbler showed up at work, there was a sign in the marketplace. It was a new edict from the king. And it said, from now on, the subjects of this kingdom are no longer allowed to have their shoes fixed. They must buy new shoes when their shoes are worn out. Feeling a little bit dejected, the cobbler wondered, what should I do? My job is fixing shoes, and I have no way to make a living. Across the marketplace, he saw an old lady dragging a big bucket of water up to her house. And since he had nothing to do anyway, he figured he'd go over and offer to help. When he got there, she was so thankful. He carried the water up for her and filled her water system for her. And as a token of appreciation, she said, thank you so much, sonny boy. Here, have a couple dollars so that you can take care of yourself. I really appreciate your help. All of a sudden, the cobbler had an idea. Instead of being a cobbler, he would be a water drawer. And he went down to the well, and he drew people's water for them, and he dragged it to their home for a small price. That evening, he went home, and no sooner did he sit down to have his meal of some bread, some olives, a couple slices of cucumber, and there was a knock on the door. Sure enough, it was the beggar man who said, hello, friend, do you think I could join you for dinner tonight? Why, of course, come in and join me. You know, I had a pretty tough day today, too. I said, wow, what happened? I heard there was a new rule that you couldn't be a shoemaker. I knew that you were a shoemaker, the king said, now dressed as a peasant. How did you manage? And the cobbler explained how he was able to make money helping people draw water and bring it to their home. Thought the beggar king as he left. Somehow this all works out. The next day, when the cobbler showed up at the well to draw people's water, there was a big sign up that said it is illegal to have others draw water for you. Water buckets must be drawn and brought to your homes on your own. Anybody found drawing water for other people or carrying water for other people will be severely punished by order of the king. Thought the cobbler, it's illegal for me to help people with their water, but Hashem always helps me. I'm sure I will figure something out. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw a man picking up sticks on the street for firewood. That gives me an idea, he said. I'll go be a wood chopper. And with that, he rushed off to the forest and collected wood and chopped wood and sold wood in the marketplace for firewood so people could cook and heat their homes. He made a nice amount of money, though not as much as when he fixed shoes or drew water. He still had enough money to get some vegetables and some fruits for dinner. That evening, as he sat down, there was a knock on the door. And once again, it was the beggar who was really the king. Come in, my friend. Come join me for dinner. Although it's a much more humble dinner than it was in prior evenings. I only have fruits and vegetables and no bread, but you're welcome to join in whatever I have. The beggar king sat down and joined him. You know, the beggar king said, I was wondering how you were going to manage today. I saw the sign up by the water, and I heard that yesterday that was what you did. This king sure seems to have it out for you. Yes, but Hashem always helps me, said the cobbler. Every day, Hashem helps me figure out what I will need. And today, I chopped wood and sold wood to people, and I'm doing just fine. It all works out. With that, the king thanked him for dinner and went on his merry way back to his palace. The king thought, how can I get this man to be a warrior like me? Ha! I have an idea. The next day, when the cobbler showed up to sell his wood, there was a big sign, and it said that all wood choppers and wood salesmen must report to the palace immediately, where they will become guards to the king. Thought the cobbler. I guess I don't have to look for a job today. I know what I'm going to be doing. And with that, he rushed off to the palace with all the rest of the wood choppers and wood salesmen, where they were outfitted in uniform and given a sword, a beautiful sword, to stand guard at the palace. All day, the cobbler stood guard and focused on all the people around him, making sure that nobody snuck in or snuck out, and doing all the other things that good guards should do. At the end of the day, he went to the captain of the guard and said, "Is it possible to get paid so I can eat?" The captain of the guard answered, "By order of the king, you will definitely get paid, but after your first month of work. Today, you're on your own." Thought the cobbler. This is not going to be easy. And as he walked through the marketplace thinking to himself about where he was going to get his meal, he noticed a shop that bought and sold different goods right nearby. I have an idea, he said. I'm never really going to use this fancy sword anyway. And he walked into the sale shop and drew his sword and offered to sell the blade of the sword, which he sold for a nice amount of money, enough that would last him for a couple of weeks. After that, he stopped in the marketplace and bought some fish and some vegetables and some bread and some dips. And he had plenty of money to save and put away. And he went home and set his nice meal, cooked the nice fish, and waited for his regular evening company to show up. Sure enough, only moments after he finished, there was a knock on the door, and the beggar showed up again and said, "It smells really good in here. Would you mind having a guest, my old friend?" And with that, the king came in, the cobbler welcomed him, and they sat down to have a beautiful meal. The cobbler leaned forward and said, "I'll tell you how I got this meal, but you can't tell anybody." "Oh, of course, I can keep secrets." "So on my way home, after being commanded to be a guard, I figured I would sell the blade of my sword because I'm never going to need it. And the king's never going to know." "Of course, the king's never going to know. It's just between you and me," laughed the king. At the end of their delicious meal, the king, dressed as a beggar, left and went back to the palace. He thought, "I got him this time." That very morning, the cobbler arrived to do his job. And the captain of the guard walked over to him and said, "You there! The king would like you in front of his throne immediately." Wow, a promotion already. Maybe he's going to get paid finally after one whole day of work. And as he walked before the king, he nodded to the king, and the king said, "This man over here, standing in front of you, he is guilty of being a thief. I command that you chop his head off." Oh no, thought the cobbler. This is not what was supposed to happen. And if I draw my sword, the king is going to see that it's just a handle, and there is no sword attached to it. And then the cobbler thought of a great idea. He said, Your Highness, I don't know this man, and I don't know if he's innocent or guilty of being a thief. Allow me one moment to say a prayer to my God, to Hashem, to protect me from doing anything wrong." And with that, he closed his eyes tight, and he said to Hashem, "O Master in heaven, I know not whether this man is innocent or guilty of doing anything wrong. Please, guide my hand. If he is guilty, so be it. I will chop off his head. But if he is innocent, make my blade of my sword disappear." And with that, the cobbler reached for his sword and drew just a handle. There was no blade attached. Wow, thought the king. Somehow his God always protects him. The king said, "Come here." And the cobbler stepped forward. "Do you know who I am?" "No, you're the king. Of course I know who you are." "Do you recognize me?" "Yes, your picture hangs all around this country, and we are very loyal to you." "Do you recognize me from anywhere else?" demanded the king. "No, just from being our king," said the cobbler. "Would you recognize me if I was wearing tattered clothing and sitting in your house eating dinner?" "Oh," thought the cobbler, "my goodness, you're the beggar who came to visit me." "Your Highness, I told you, Hashem always protects me. You know, my friends, it's just like the Purim story. We didn't know how Hashem was going to save us, but He did. During the month of Adar is a special time to allow ourselves to see how Hashem is behind everything that happens. It's really, truly an amazing story.
Yeah. Can I have the mic back now?
Thank you for letting me tell it.
No, really.
I appreciate it. Here.
Really, no, forget it. Just
Here's the mic back. Bye, guys. I'll see you later.